Okay, welcome guys to this next video. Today we're going to be talking about solving more advanced equations. So our learning goal is going to be that you'll interpret and solve some simple linear representations and model authentic information. Now, at the end of this, you'll want to be able to solve equations that include fractions and solve equations that include brackets. Alright, so we have some more onions. Try not to cry though. Now, you will remember that in your last video, you will have been learning and mucking around with how to solve equations like this: 2x plus 5 equals 15. Okay, and when I talk to you about this whole onion and layering thing, it's something that really at the start is going to help you being able to strategize how to attack the linear equation to solve it. Okay, later on when you become more experienced, you're going to be able to smash this stuff and this sort of thing will be really easy for you. But at this stage, I really think it's a good idea for you to strategize first before you make your first steps. Okay, so with something like this, you would have first circled the variable that you're after, then put a circle around the next thing that's acting on it, and then again with this one here. And so to get to the plus 5, you would know you'd have to go through this layer, then through this layer, then finally you'd be at the x, okay? Doing the opposite for each layer, etc., okay? But now we're going to be shaking things up a bit and moving on to looking at it with brackets and looking at it with fractions as well, okay, as part of the equation. All right, key ideas. This is very important. You cannot directly operate on terms that are stuck inside brackets or inside a fraction, okay? Very, very, very important, okay? So let's look at each case individually. So first, got these brackets here, okay? And we've got an equation that says 2x plus 5, give myself a little bit more room here. Whoop. Okay, so 2x minus 5 equals 14, okay? So there are two ways that you're able to do this kind of equation. I'm going to show you both of them, all right? The first one I think is the easiest way of going about it. So we'll write our 2x minus 5 equals 14 here, and we're going to strategize it from here first, okay? So your first thought might be to just go straight at dealing this minus 5, but you can't because the variable is stuck inside some brackets, and so you have to deal with the outside stuff first. So we're going to do our onioning, our layering. So x, the next thing that's operating on the x is the minus 5 in this particular one. Then we have the 2 on the outside. All right, so we know that we have to deal with this 2 first. So the first thing we're going to do in this equation is we're going to divide both sides by 2, because that's what's happening here. Divide by 2, divide by 2, and so we will have x minus 5 equals 7. Okay, now the next thing that was acting on it was the minus 5, so that next layer, let's get rid of it, and now we're going to add 5 to both sides, and we are left with x is equal to 12. Okay, so that's the first way of going about it. I think it's the easiest. It's up to you. So I'll show you this next one. So the next one that you could solve this is, let's just put a line there. So we had 2x minus 5 is equal to 14. Okay. Now, you could instead deal with the brackets first. And so that means you're going to expand these. Okay. So you'll have 2x minus 2 times 5 is 10 equals 14, okay? Then you can do your layering. So there's your x, then the 2 is working, then the take 10, okay? So we're going to have to get rid of the take 10 first. So that means we're going to add 10 to both sides. So plus 10, and we've got 2x is equal to 24. And the next thing is the 2 was acting, so we're going to divide by 2, and we're left with x is equal to 12. Okay, so you'll see that x equaled 12 in both circumstances, but you've got those two options to go with there. Okay, so you can either operate on that multiplier at the front of the brackets first, or you can expand the brackets and then work on it from there. Okay, either way is fine. I just personally like the first one. Okay, so now when we've got fractions, it's a little bit different again. Okay, so I'll show you how that's going to work. Rewrite this for ourselves. X plus 1 over 3 is equal to 7. So if you have a linear equation that looks like this, we're going to circle our variable first. Okay, now you might think that you're able to deal with this plus 1 next, but you're not. It's actually what's happening to the x next, and the outside layer is actually the 3 on the bottom of the fraction. So it means that to get to the x, you need to break through that one first. Okay, so let's deal with it. So it's dividing by 3, so you're going to need to multiply both sides by 3, multiply by 3, multiply by 3, and we've got x plus 1 is equal to 21. Then the next thing that is happening is the plus 1 now. So we're going to subtract 1 from both sides. And we're left with x being 20. Okay, so that's how you go about the ones that have the fractions there. Okay, so we've got a couple of worked examples for you to see, just some different situations. Okay, so solve the following equations we've been asked. So I've got 3x plus 2 is equal to 24. And so let's strategize. There's my first layer, there's my second, here's my third. So the first thing I have to do is get rid of the 3 out the front. So let's do that. I'm going to divide by 3 to both sides. And I'm left with x plus 2. 24 divided by 3 is 8. The next thing to deal with is the plus 2 now. So I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. And I'm left with x being equal to 8 minus 2 is 6. Okay, so that's an example with brackets there. Here's one again with brackets with a subtraction in there. Not anything too much different, but we'll go through it quickly anyway. So 7x minus 2 is equal to 35. So I'm going to do my little strategizing here. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is deal with my multiply by 7. So I'm going to divide by 7. And I'm going to be left with x minus 2 is equal to 35 divided by 7 is 5. The next thing was the take 2. So I'm going to add 2. Oops, that's a divide. Add 2. Add 2. And I'm left with x being equal to 7. Okay. All right. Okay, so two more examples, both of them involving fractions, but both of them slightly different to each other. So quickly, this one you've already seen some examples already like this, but 2x plus 3 over 7 is equal to 3. So this one's a little bit complicated, okay? So here's my x, okay? Now the 2 is operating on the x, then this plus 3, and then finally the 7. Okay, so I know I need to break through and deal with this 7 before I deal with anything else. Okay, so it's dividing by 7. So the first thing I'll do is multiply by 7 to both sides. Multiply by 7, multiply by 7, and I'm left with 2x plus 3 is equal to 21. All right, the next layer to break through is the plus 3. So I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. Subtract 3, oops. Subtract 3, and I'm left with 2x is equal to 18. Then the next layer was the 2, and that's multiplying on the x. So I'm going to divide by 2, and I'm left with x being equal to 9. Okay. All right, lucky last, this one here. As you can see, it's got fractions in it, but it's a little bit different. Okay, so I'm going to draw this one nice and big, so it's going to have some layers we'll have to deal with. 2x over 3 plus 5 is equal to 13. So hopefully you can see how this one's different because the fraction line doesn't go across both, and this term here, the plus 5, is not included inside the fraction. So if we do our layering, we've got the x here, then the 2 is operating on the x, then the 3, then finally the plus 5. Okay, so a bit of a complex little onion layer there, but at least we know now it's this plus 5 we're going to have to get rid of first before we do anything else. So let's take 5 from both sides, take 5, and we are left with 2x. That's the worst x. 2x over 3 is equal to 13 minus 5 is 8. And the next one I had to deal with was the 3. And so I'm going to times by 3 to both sides. And I'm left with 2x equals 8 times 3 is 24. And then lastly to deal with was the 2. And it was multiplying, so I'm going to divide by 2. Divide by 2, and I'm left with x being equal to 12. Okay, so that's a whole bunch of examples of some of the more complicated and certainly the most difficult linear equations you'll have to deal with at a grade 7 level. So the number one thing that you can do, as always with this algebra stuff, is just practice these kinds of things. Give your brain a chance to change and to modify itself so that you're going to be amazing and awesome at this stuff, okay? So thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you at school. Bye.